Last week, the tech sector was taken by storm after news surfaced of the ousting of the founder and CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman. Over the last year, Altman has led OpenAI to be among the big boys of the tech industry following the release of the popular ChatGPT chatbot. OpenAI was at the center of the AI boom, and Altman had become one of the most influential people in tech. That's why Altman's ouster is reminiscent of when Steve Jobs was forced out of Apple in 1985. OpenAI's meteoric rise over the past year has raised tensions within the company due to an everlasting philosophical conflict between two camps in the AI industry. One camp believes that AI is the greatest opportunity in a generation, while the second camp sees that moving too fast with AI development could be dangerous. Altman's ouster is the epitome of this conflict, since he was forced out by co-founder Ilya Sutskever, along with 3 other board members who saw Altman's strides in AI technology neglected the possible risks of the technology. But that news isn't only affecting OpenAI. You see, OpenAI's advancements in AI technology raised investors' interest in it, and one of its biggest benefactors is tech giant Microsoft, which owns 49% of the startup. Microsoft and OpenAI's relationship goes back to 2019, when Microsoft invested $1 billion in the AI startup. Back then, we were in the startup boom, and it was normal for large companies to invest in startups. So Microsoft's $1 billion investment didn't grab much attention. However, everything changed 3 years later. The launch of ChatGPT can be described as a game changer thanks to its immediate success. And that event made investors realize that Microsoft is at the forefront of the generative AI revolution. So, as the behemoth it is, Microsoft decided to turn all of this saga to its advantage by appointing Altman and former OpenAI president Greg Brockman to lead a new AI research team. That should be the end of the whole saga, right? Altman leaves, the board refuses his return, Microsoft gets Altman, and Microsoft wins as usual. Well, you'd be mistaken if you believe that. Right after Microsoft announced Altman's appointment, up to 700 OpenAI employees threatened to leave the startup to work with Altman at Microsoft. This pressure move has been done brilliantly, as Altman finally returned less than 1 week following his ouster. However, Altman's comeback will be accompanied by a different board that appears to be more aligned with Microsoft and Altman's vision for AI. Right out of a TV series, to be honest. Anyways, Altman is back, and everything should be back to normal. So why did this happen, and what will happen next? Welcome back to PST Markets, where we provide daily updates and analysis on stock market news. Today, we're taking a deep dive into Sam Altman's ouster from OpenAI, consequent return to OpenAI, and what all of this means to Microsoft. Is Microsoft the biggest winner of all of this ordeal? Watch till the end to find out. But first, let's take a look into how Microsoft's stock is impacted by news regarding OpenAI. Right after ChatGPT's launch, investors started taking notice of the company behind the revolutionary chatbot, OpenAI. And when digging deeper, Microsoft's $1 billion investment in the startup started to gain relevance. That's why it's no wonder Microsoft's stock climbed nearly 7% upon the launch of ChatGPT on November 30, 2022. But that wasn't the only event that led to Microsoft's runs. Fast forward 2 months to February 7, 2023. Microsoft announced the launch of the all-new Bing browser backed by the one and only ChatGPT. Similarly, Microsoft went on to surge as much as 8% in the following 2 days. Then, on March 14, GPT-4 was launched, and once again, Microsoft ran 14% over the course of that week. Overall, Microsoft is up more than 55% since the launch of ChatGPT, reaching a new all-time high of $376.35 in the process. But that streak of gains came to a halt after Altman's ouster, as Microsoft dropped 2% on the news. However, that was a short-lived dip, as Microsoft recovered almost immediately after appointing Altman and Brockman to lead a newly created AI research team. Shockingly, it even reached a new all-time high of more than $378 on the news. So it's clear that there is a strong correlation between OpenAI developments and Microsoft stock performance. Let's dive deeper into what this whole situation means for Microsoft and how it can benefit from it. It all started on Friday, November 17. On that date, OpenAI's board decided to fire co-founder and CEO Sam Altman from his position. Altman is widely seen as a trailblazer in the generative AI scene. Some even go to the extent of calling him the Oppenheimer of our age. So the news of his firing was pretty shocking to everyone from Wall Street to Silicon Valley. When giving a reason for the decision, OpenAI's board stated that Mr. Altman's departure follows a deliberative review process by the board, which concluded that he was not consistently candid in his communications with the board, hindering its ability to exercise its responsibilities. The board no longer has confidence in his ability to continue leading OpenAI. The board's decision wasn't exclusive to Altman, though. Greg Brockman, another founder and president, was also removed from his chairman position and was supposed to report to the CEO, before quitting in a tweet later the same day. So this brings the question, was the board's decision really due to a breakdown of communications? Or was it for another reason? Well, it's very likely to be the latter. UC Sutskever, as mentioned earlier, is of the camp that AI technology is dangerous and that Altman's attempts to grow fast were reckless. Before Altman was ousted, he was seeking billions from Middle Eastern sovereign funds to develop an AI chip to compete with NVIDIA. Altman even courted SoftBank chairman Masayoshi Son to develop AI hardware with former Apple designer Johnny Ive. But these attempts weren't to Sutskever and his allies' liking, as they viewed them as Altman using the OpenAI name for commercial gain. This opposition to Altman's profit-driven strategy reached a bottleneck after OpenAI's DevDay conference. Altman revealed major advancements that could change the landscape for AI at that conference, including OpenAI's most powerful AI model, GPT-4 Turbo. But Altman's aggressive strategy wasn't the only reason why Sutskever led this rebellion on him. In fact, looking at the bigger picture, there might have been a personal factor in this coup. Sources within OpenAI revealed that Sutskever objected to what he saw as his role being diminished inside the company. Sutskever's opinion is likely to have resulted from the promotion of Jakub Paczocki to Director of Research. Paczocki was in a position below Sutskever before being promoted, but after becoming Director of Research, he became on par with Sutskever. Not only that, but Paczocki was also in Altman's camp, as he also quit on the heels of Altman's ouster. Think about it. If you co-founded a business, and someone who was in a position below you suddenly became at the same level as you, I bet you'll feel jealous, even if a little. After all, these are natural human feelings. But unfortunately for Sutskever, his actions might have been the beginning of the end for OpenAI. Sutskever's coup has undoubtedly alienated its investors, including Microsoft, which has $13 billion invested in the startup. But that's not all. OpenAI depends on Microsoft for the vast amounts of computing power that its AI products require to run. As a result, Microsoft holds significant power over OpenAI. It's widely known that Microsoft's decision to invest in OpenAI was largely due to Altman's vision. This is why once the news of his ouster became public, Microsoft, along with other OpenAI investors, started a pressure campaign on OpenAI's board to reinstate Altman and Brockman. However, these efforts failed as Altman allegedly wanted the board to resign, among other demands to agree to return to OpenAI, which the board dismissed. Luckily for OpenAI and its investors, Sutskever realized the damage his attempted coup had done to the startup and went to X, formerly known as Twitter, to show his regret. Not only that, but Sutskever joined around 700 OpenAI employees, threatening they would join Microsoft with Altman if the board didn't reinstate him. So, with mounting pressure on OpenAI's board, they finally agreed to reinstate Altman on his terms as the startup agreed to reconstitute the board that initially dismissed Altman partly. OpenAI's initial board will be chaired by former Salesforce co-CEO Bret Taylor. It will include former U.S. Treasury Secretary Larry Summers along with Quora CEO and current director Adam D'Angelo. From the looks of it, the new board is very likely to be aligned with Altman's aggressive approach to developing AI, unlike the previous board, which cared more about the ethical aspect of AI. So that will be a complete change from the previous board that basically didn't care about profit. And that's why Microsoft is the biggest winner in this saga. Of course, Microsoft wants OpenAI to develop AI as soon as possible in order to recoup its investment in the startup. After all, Microsoft is entitled to 75% of OpenAI's profits until it recoups its $13 billion investment, and then Microsoft will own 49% of OpenAI. So, how does this relate to Altman's return with a new board? Well, it relates to OpenAI's bizarre structure. OpenAI was initially founded as a nonprofit organization with a utopian quest to develop AI that is safe and beneficial to humanity. But since it was a nonprofit, OpenAI couldn't receive funding from outside investors, so it had to rely on donations to cover its costs. But this isn't really sustainable. Developing AI models needs a lot of compute power and skilled engineers. So OpenAI formed a for-profit subsidiary to lure the funding and employees needed to pursue its expensive AI development plans. There's a catch though, the subsidiary's capped profit. meaning that early investors can only make 100 times their initial investment and the rest returns back to the nonprofit. At the same time, the nonprofit's board maintained ultimate say over the for-profit business, while its fiduciary duty remained to uphold its mission. And as such, the for-profit's investors don't have any say in how it operates despite being the ones paying its bills. So for a company like Microsoft, which owns 49% of OpenAI, rash board decisions like Altman's ouster are detrimental to its business. From Microsoft's point of view, it's like, if I'm paying the bill, I should have a say in a big decision like firing the CEO. And based on the latest events, Microsoft appears to have just gotten that. Now that the new board appears to be aligned with Microsoft's vision, you can say that Microsoft will control the new board, as in the new board will be unofficially serving Microsoft's best interests. Even more, Microsoft's influence could lead to it gaining a seat on OpenAI's new board. Now that would be massive for Microsoft, since it would be in the know of all that's going on inside OpenAI. And as a result, it can easily prevent any future mutinies from happening. After all, its $13 billion investment was in jeopardy due to last week's coup attempt. So Microsoft would be technically running OpenAI with Altman leading the startup along with the new board, as well as its potential board seat. The biggest advantage of all of this is that OpenAI could eventually dump its nonprofit mission and convert into a for-profit organization. If this happens, Microsoft would be officially controlling OpenAI due to its 49% stake, and it could easily absorb it down the line. But I don't think Microsoft will do that anytime soon. Microsoft controlling OpenAI in the shadows is more beneficial for its interests. OpenAI's current nonprofit designation makes it exempt from taxes, and as a result, it doesn't have to burden itself with tax payments in addition to its hefty expenses bill. Running ChatGPT alone costs around $700,000 per day, and when combined with the high salaries OpenAI pays to its employees, as well as the costs associated with AI development, it would need even more funding than what it already has. So knowing all of the expenses associated with OpenAI, is it wise for Microsoft to foot all of these bills? I don't think so. If Microsoft does that, it would incur a lot of costs that will certainly impact its profitability. You see, one of Microsoft's main attractions as an investment is its dividend payout. Over the years, Microsoft has constantly increased its payout since it started paying dividends in 2003. The payout has grown from 8 cents in 2003 to the current quarterly dividend of 75 cents. That's very impressive. However, by incurring all the costs that come with owning OpenAI, Microsoft would have to resort to decreasing its payout since OpenAI is still in its early stages, so it's normal for it to have huge losses. All in all, this whole saga couldn't have turned out any better for Microsoft. Altman is leading OpenAI with a board that's very likely to allow his aggressive approach to developing AI. Microsoft potentially getting a board seat at OpenAI. And most importantly, Microsoft will still get all the benefits of OpenAI's work without incurring any additional costs. However, down the line, I see Microsoft eventually taking over OpenAI, but I don't expect that to happen before OpenAI is done with developing AGI. All of this shows the savviness and brilliance of Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. He turned a very tough situation into his advantage, all within less than a week. In fact, it's very probable that Microsoft will emerge from this whole ordeal as the undisputed leader in the generative AI race. This brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to get more videos like this one. Your support means everything to me. And tell me what you think about this whole saga. Is Microsoft now the king of generative AI? Will OpenAI's non-profit structure change now? Let me know it all below in the comments. I read all of them. That's it for me today. See you in another video soon.